AVRant and SVS have teamed up to bring you an unbelievable opportunity. Have you been dreaming of dual subwoofers? Perhaps you'd like to upgrade your entire 5.1 speaker package. Don't have the cash? AVRant and SVS have your back. Go to www.avrant.com right now for your chance to win your choice of dual PB1000 subwoofers or a prime 5.1 satellite speaker package. Contest ends September 30th. Don't wait. Open to the residents of the United States and Canada. We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
Justin, not Bieber, asks us over on Facebook. Justin has purchased the materials to make his DIY, his do-it-yourself absorption panels. He has agreed with the aesthetics committee, this one didn't get capitalized for some reason, to start with panels behind his front, left, and right, and centered speakers. Great. He already has a canvas poster on the partial wall behind his couch. The frame is only an inch deep, but he's going to put some insulation in it in the hopes that it will help at least a little bit. It will not hurt. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, so if you're looking at the YouTube video, I'm showing some photos there. So the first one was the front of his room going up there. That's his front speakers. Now, he's temporarily trying out some bookshelves there. He actually has EMP Tech towers that he normally uses. But that front wall, the aesthetics committee has said, yep, go ahead, put some DIY panels on that front wall in behind the speakers. And then behind his seat there, he already has this poster. It has a little bit of a gap behind it in its own frame. So he's going to put some insulation in there. Absolutely. Go ahead and do it. Cannot hurt.
Cannot hurt. And it's a canvas too, is what he said,
is,
right?
yeah.
So it's probably got a little breathing.
That's right.
Through.
Yeah.
This is good. Better than. He plans to build 2 freestanding panels that he can put on the left and right side walls in front of his sliding glass door, basically at the first reflection points. Being freestanding, he'll be able to move them out of the way to get at the door, or when he doesn't want to see them, or when more likely she doesn't want to see them. So he's wondering where else might he be able to put panels, since we said that his issue with dialogue hanging around after the sound should have stopped is definitely due to his room and not his speakers. He was thinking maybe that the very back wall of his dining area, but that's about all he can come up with. So let's look again at these pictures.
Yeah, so here he's got a diagram of the space that he's working with. It's showing his couch along this partial wall. We can see there's the sliding glass door on the right and sort of stairs and doors to the left. So that's where he's going to put his freestanding panels. And things are hardwood and stuff in here, so it's a pretty reflective room. He's going to have a rug in that, so that's okay. That part's taken care of. There's not a huge amount of area. I mean, maybe somewhere on that right-hand wall. I'm not sure exactly what is over there beside the sliding glass door. But if you're sort of treating the front wall and treating the wall behind your couch, really it's sort of the ceiling that's left, right? I don't know if that's a possibility.
That's never going to happen.
Well, if it's the same color, if it blends right in, I don't know.
There's no chance she's going to let you hang something from the ceiling, dude. Don't even try it.
It does appear to be a popcorn ceiling up there, a textured ceiling. So it's
not going to happen.
Yeah.
Show us the picture of the behind the couch there.
Yeah, so back there is sort of his dining area. He could, I mean, it is a whole open space. If we're just talking about cutting down reverberation, having something back there won't hurt. It won't hurt.
It won't. That would not be bad. But I think really that poster that you have behind your head, that's going to be the thing where you're going to be able to make the most difference. Is it possible for you to take that poster and reprint it onto some of these DIY panels that we've been talking about and make it thicker a little bit? Because it is right behind your head, dude, and it's perfect spot for the sound to bounce off and confuse your ear. So it's very likely that could be the case.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that.
That's where I would be looking to put as much absorption as I could right behind my head. Mm-hmm. I would not want to have anything bouncing off that back little wall back there. So either, first of all, I don't know what you said canvas. I don't know how well it's going to absorb, let air through so that the absorption will work. If it does work really well, and we do that with the blow test, we've talked about that
Yeah,
before.
he actually said he tried that out. So he says there's some resistance to air, but some air gets through. So it's
It's
not.
better than poking out with a sharp stick.
That's
So,
right. Yeah.
and you build yourself a thicker frame.
Well, that's just it. I mean, you could just extend the frame rather
That
than
and then,
reprinting it or anything.
yeah,
Just make the frame bigger so there's more of an air cavity in there and fill that with insulation.
that would be. I would first do what you're planning on doing.
Yeah.
Test it out. If you still feel like you're hearing a little bit too much of the stuff hanging around, my next step would be that. Then would be to thicken up the frame and shove as much insulation, or at least fill it halfway up with insulation, so you put the air gap behind it. It'll be fine. And then if you're still having problems, then start looking for other. And literally, it might just be any free space on your wall that you can put something would be kind of okay.
Or the
Because
ceiling.
at this, or the ceiling. Not going to happen, but it could, I guess. Stranger things. That dude showed his wife the cylinder subs, and she said, "Buy two."
That's right.
I mean that kind of lightning might be able to strike twice in a year. He does have a small space near the ceiling of each front corner.
Right.
I'm sorry, near the ceiling. He was planning on put corner base traps up there, but they'll only be about a foot tall. You can make them about 3 feet wide, though. Would they be worth it? And should he make rectangular panels with beveled edges so there'll be an air gap behind the panels, or should he make them triangular frames that will fill up the whole corner? Generally speaking, like I just mentioned, you're putting in if you extend that frame, I said fill it up at least half with insulation. That's because the air gap, if you fill up half, the air gap works as well as filling it up 100%.
Mm-hmm.
So you do not have to fill up the entire corner of this thing with insulation. That being said, I think sometimes it's just easier to design the
Just
dang
easier
thing.
to, especially DIY. It's easier to just cut triangles than to try and make nice beveled edges and everything that fit perfectly in there, right?
Yeah. If it were me, I'd just fill the whole thing up just for ease of installation.
Yeah.
And
also
that's what I would
a
do.
little bit of aesthetics too, because, I think you'll be able to see, sort of up underneath it. And if it's just like this rectangle that's straddling the corner and then there's this gap in behind it, that is going to look a little bit stranger than just having the corner filled with a triangle.
Yeah.
You get I think so. I think just the ease of creating it by just cutting triangles of insulation and then the aesthetics of it, it makes sense to just fill it with a triangle.
Yeah. Lastly, he says he still has some space on the partial wall behind his couch. He was thinking of making a diffuser from 1-inch square pieces of wood at differing heights. He's seen patterns like that used as artworks / decoration, but they have to be only about 16 inches by 16 inches. Would it even be worth doing it in terms of audible results? He could maybe put another matching diffuser panel on the front wall, but his main question is would they even work and whether they'd be worth it audibly. This is behind his head again on
behind
the couch,
his head,
right?
yeah. So it's sort of beside the canvas poster that he has. There's a little bit more space. I just put more absorption there if I could.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be worrying about diffusion, particularly on the back wall and the front wall. Maybe if you were talking about side walls that were close to you, I'd be considering diffusion. But you have enough reflection in this room already. Reflection isn't your problem. Yeah. I would be trying to add as much absorption to this room as you can. Yeah.
So I mean,
that's all I would be worrying about.
First reflection points, right? If you take your first reflection point, and then and you got your panels, let's say they're 4 feet tall by 2 feet wide. It's typical panel size, right? And then you leave a little bit of gap between them, maybe say 6 inches or a foot. Then you add another panel, and then it's 6 inches or a foot, and then another absorption panel. That panel in between, a lot of times they'll put some diffusion in there.
Oh yeah.
Just to keep the room a little lively. That's if you're fully treating the entire space.
Yeah.
In your case, adding diffusion is really not going to help you all that much because you've got too much reflection to begin with. Adding more reflection, really what you need is absorption. When you get to the point where your room starts to sound dead, then you're starting to think about diffusion, and you're not going to get anywhere near that.
No. I mean, the whole thing with any acoustically small space, and again, it might seem like a pretty large room in a house, but it's still acoustically small. You can almost never have too much absorption when it comes to the lower frequencies. You could just cover every surface in there with bass traps absorption, and it would probably still not be enough to get you perfectly nice linear non-resonant response in the bass. And because of that, if you completely are treating a room and you cover everything with absorption, then you need to put some diffusion back in there so that the high frequencies don't get over deadened. That what you're looking for is fairly uniform decay times across the whole range of audible frequencies. That's what we're hoping to get. So if you over deaden it in order to try and address the lower frequencies, then sometimes that can be too much. It's over damped and you have to put diffusion back in. But if you don't have enough absorption in the room to flatten out the bass already, you don't have to worry about adding diffusion to get back higher frequency reflections, because you still got plenty of reflective surfaces in that room. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry about diffusion in your case.
Yeah. It would look nice. I mean, what you're talking about, it would look nice. And if you really wanted to do something like that, I'd say put it on the sidewalls or even the first reflection point of the ceiling.
Oh yeah.
Or right up, like, near above your head. That might be okay. But really, if you could put something on your ceiling, you should put absorption.
Yep.
if you can get away with putting anything up there, put absorption. I don't know how you're going to do that. Tell her it's some sort of like Middle Eastern theme and you're going to hang rugs from the ceiling or something like that and just fill them up with insulation. Good luck with that. Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.